Hi, Jewish Mom. I'm so happy today to be hosting. I'm Robin Meyerson from Phoenix, Arizona. So don't get confused. She's actually in Arizona and I'm Jerusalem, but she has the Jerusalem background. And so I thought maybe I should put the Arizona desert behind me, but whatever. So we're just going to keep it as it is. I've actually known, I've known Robin. We're both longtime participants in Rabbi Nivin's personal development Chabura. And Robin actually works closely with Rabbi Nivin and helping him plan his curriculums, etc. Before we get started, I just want to introduce Robin, who she is. Okay, so Robin Meyerson is a life coach, international speaker, and an award-winning author of several books. She does strategic planning and life coaching for Rabbi Nivin's Chaburas. I just want to say, she once at the beginning of Corona, she did a little bit of personal life coaching with me, and it was incredible. It really, really helped me. So, okay, she is also the founding director of Project Inspire Arizona, where she guides hundreds of volunteers to learn and grow together, hang mezuzahs, and lead trips to Israel. Her chesed life purpose is serving as the West Coast director of, how do you pronounce this? NASCK?
NASCK.
Okay, creating groundbreaking educational marketing materials for peacefulreturn.org to assist families in choosing burial instead of cremation. Rabin has a bachelor's degree in marketing and a master's degree in international management. She's happily married 30 plus years and a mom to 5 beautiful children, ages 23 to 9, and as well as 3 grandsons. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Okay. So I know that you have an incredible life story. So can you tell me, can you a little bit tell us a little bit about where you're coming from, your life story before you became religious?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I love this whole concept of Jewish moms talking to Jewish moms and helping each other, to grow and just achieve as much as they possibly can in their personal lives. So I'm a big fan of Jewish moms. Yeah. So I am a Jewish mom, but I never thought I would be a mom, first of all, because I grew up in, I'm American and British. My mom is from America. My father's from England. And my parents wanted to travel. They're both Jewish, but they wanted to travel all over the world. So I grew up in Australia, Malaysia, England, not in a Jewish community. I'm Jewish, but I didn't know anything about Judaism or my background. We did a little bit of Hanukkah, did a little bit of Passover. And it wasn't until, thank God, I met my Jewish husband, and he also didn't have much of a background, that we went on the journey together. We went on a trip to Israel and discovered that it wasn't really Disneyland characters. It was real people from our heritage, our Torah. So we started learning and growing. And thank God. I love that there's a Tehillim that says, thank you, God, for raising me out of the garbage heap and placing me amongst the nobles. And I just feel that, and I'm so grateful every single day that I'm in this beautiful religious life with a beautiful family.
Yeah. So. Yeah, amazing. We actually have something a little in common that I didn't tell you before, that I speak a little bit of Bahasa Malay.
Whoa, really?
I spent so when I was in college, I spent a semester in Indonesia where they speak what they call Bahasa Indonesia, but it's actually Malaysian. So I still remember a little bit like Selamat Pagi, Selamat Malam.
Yeah, Selamat Malam.
Yeah. You eat nasi. Well, I used to eat nasi goreng, but I don't eat not so kosher. But nasi goreng.
Yeah, the rice dish.
Funny,
That's crazy. Wow, nobody knows nasi goreng.
Malkamana. Remember this Malkamana? Where are you going? We have our, not only Rabbi Nivin's Chaburas, we also have that in common. The few phrases I still remember in Malaysian.
Wow.
But so can you tell me about what you're doing like in your community work and professionally now?
Yeah, sure. So because I worked in the corporate world for about 15 years doing marketing and strategic planning. And then as I was becoming more observant, I decided to, God gave me these gifts. I want to use my time and resources to help the Jewish world because I feel so blessed that I want to just give it out to everybody else. I'm very ambitious in the sense that I want to help all Jews. So all Jews, and because I grew up in different countries, I feel like I have a cultural sensitivity to people who are secular Jews all the way to Hasidic, Litvish, Sephardic. It doesn't really matter. I have this cultural sensitivity because of how I grew up, and I'm grateful to my own Jewish mom for raising me that way with that cultural sensitivity. So I started Project Inspire Arizona, which is a group of volunteers. And we go around hanging free mezuzahs. It's men and women who learn and grow together. So they're learning together. We're doing challah bakes. We have a big challah bake coming up in next week, actually, for the Shabbat project. We take trips to Israel. And the whole point of it is that to build Jewish unity. And so I do that that's one part of my life. I'm very clear. And this is, something that obviously that we've learned from Rabbi Nivin is that, what's your purpose? And I thrive in my life because I know I'm very clear on my purpose and I'm very clear on how I want to spend my time. And so I dedicate my time, part of it, to helping the Jewish people become more observant and grow and learn about their heritage with Project Inspire. And then the other part of my life, I help with Rabbi Nivin and his programs. But my big hesed that I do is with the Hever Kadisha, which I'll tell you about a little bit later when you ask me about it.
So I want to say, my mom's yard site this is coming Sunday, the 18th of Cheshvan. So that was why I really wanted to interview Robin this week. Because I feel like my mom dying and kind of experiencing a Jewish burial really changed my way of thinking about it. I'm kind of claustrophobic, getting a little personal here, sorry. I'm claustrophobic. I've always been afraid, like being buried. It's like, so for a claustrophobic person, it's terrifying. And somehow, like, why would I I'd always thought, oh, I can't be cremated, but that seems like the better way because I don't deal with being claustrophobic underneath the ground. But this just seeing the chesed, going through this whole process with my mom, basically I got to Baltimore where my parents, where my mom lived, and my father still lives at Meyerson. And just kind of getting to the funeral home and seeing like this group of wonderful women from the Chevra Kadisha who were just there and had so lovingly, prepared my mom for burial. And they very, like, they came actually, my mom got buried on a Sunday morning. And so they came, it was like they had gotten there, I think, at 7:00 on a Sunday morning. In order to perform this chesed, my mom these were Orthodox women. They didn't know my mom. And they got up at 7 on a Sunday morning to do this chesed for my mom. Then they did Kriya with me. And it's just such a beautiful, respectful, gentle process. It really changed how I think about it. And so that was why I wanted to have you here talking about your passion about this. So can you tell me what it is you're doing on promoting Jewish burial?
Sure. So, I kind of fell into this. It's not something like I said, oh, I'm going to go to school one day and I'm going to go into the Hever Kadisha. I never even heard of a burial society. And most people don't have a clue what goes on until you go through, a death of a departed loved one. And I want to say that I hope that all of the teaching that you do and that we do today on this little program will bring an aliyah to the neshama of your mom.
Gila bat Yaakov. Yeah, Gila, the daughter of Yaakov.
Amen. So I was with a girlfriend one day and she said to me, do you want to go do a mitzvah? And I'm like, sure, whatever. And she goes, I need a fourth person. And so we get in the car. She didn't really tell me what was going on. And then on the way over, she said, we're going to prepare a lady for burial. And I said, what? No, I don't have a degree in this. I did take a little biology, but I have no clue what I need to do. She said, don't worry. It's very spiritual, very special. I'll teach you. And I went into the room and the ladies don't talk except for the prayers that are being said. And it's the most modest and most beautiful, most comforting, holy experience to do. Women taking care of other women and men take care of men. And through that experience, I realized, we are a soul. We're not a body. And our soul goes and lives forever. And all of the things that we do in this world, they affect us in the next world. And the loved ones that we leave behind, all the things that they do, like what you're doing in this world, affect your mother in the next world. So I just kind of fell into it. And because of my background in marketing and teaching, I learned that in the secular world, that cremation it's a terrible, terrible problem. It's 50% of the Jewish people.
Wow.
When you think about the Holocaust, that killed 6 million, Jews. And with the cremation, it's 30,000 Jews every single year. That's a Jew every single 16 minutes in America.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like heartbroken, because seeing the Havre Kadisha and the gentleness and the lovingness of our Jewish traditions. And so it's so gentle. You like to think about how a baby is born, right? A baby comes into the world, you gently wash the baby, you gently wrap it up in a little blankie, and then you give it to the mommy, right? In the hospital. Mm-hmm. Well, it's the same thing at the end of your life. You're gently washed, you're gently wrapped in, white clothing, shrouds and such. And then you're gently put into the earth with prayers. And it's a cycle of life. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like, how could we do cremation? It has to be education. So I wrote books, I made a website, and I did all this because I want people to understand that we're a soul and we live forever. And that's the gentle, loving thing to do. I just wanted to educate the world that this is important to do. And it's for all monotheism religions. I mean, God buried Moses, right? Yeah. So we want to emulate God. We want to do the same things that he does for the kindness reasons. And it's really just about a lack of education. People just don't know. You mentioned being claustrophobic, right? Yeah. So I'm on call 24/6, and I get cases from all over the world, and this is a hesed that I do, because, and I'll tell you why, because I have the great, God is like measure for measure, and I have the greatest miracle story that I'll tell you later.
Okay, but I want to hear. I want everyone to hear. You will not believe the story. Okay, stay tuned.
I'll tell you later. But I'm on call 24/6, and I get all kinds of reasons. Oh, I don't want to be buried because I'm claustrophobic. So I have that call. It's a real fear, but that's because you do believe that the soul lives on forever, and you do, and it is. And so, but it's way better to be in the ground. It's a natural process. It's way natural and way better to be in the ground than to be in an oven. So,
okay, so tell me something. For people who aren't, you were a little bit telling me about it when we spoke. What is actually cremation? Because it sounds kind of like burning, and it just sounds kind of like a quick kind of, and then you're done in your ashes. But can you tell me can you tell me, for people who don't know, what is cremation?
So it's first of all, it's not quick, and it's not natural. Quick is you think, oh, it's going to take 24 hours. It's not. Like, the body, actually, it's a little gruesome, but the body stays in the refrigerator for a few days or even weeks. During Corona, like in Los Angeles, cremations were put on hold because they were putting too much pollution into the air. There was too much pollution coming from cremation. So it's not quick. It could take weeks to happen. And there's no closure either, too. Like, you don't really see what happens. You don't. It's all sort of covered up, and there's no DNA. There's no DNA in ashes. So you think you have dad in an urn, but you don't, because in our faith, a Kohen cannot be around a deceased person, right? Mm-hmm. But a Kohen can be around ashes.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Kohen can be around ashes. So there's so many misconceptions, and it's just about having loving, warm conversations with people, educating them that, what is our tradition? What's the healthy, loving thing to do? And people don't have closure either with a cremation, because there's no place to visit. There's no, when you go to a burial, look, we can go to Sari Menu's gravesite today. We can go to Rabbi Akiva's gravesite today. It's amazing. You can go to these places and you can pray. You're not praying to them, you're praying to God, but there's a place to go visit. And part of the neshama still hovers over at the kever. We believe that. We believe that part of their neshama is up in Shemayim, and part of their neshama is at the kever, at the gravesite. So yeah, it's a misconception.
I'm sure many people are thinking, okay, like where did this passion for Jewish burial come from? And you're talking about the Chaburas, but I know from speaking with you that you have a phenomenal story about how you took this on as one of your central life missions.
Right. So, okay. So like I said before, I didn't grow up saying I want to do this, but I do like to write stories. And when I was a very little girl, I wrote a letter and I stuck it in the window. I said, dear God, I love you. And I was like 3 or 4 years old, something like that. So I like to write stories. So I wrote many stories about hashgacha pratis, miracles that were happening in my life over the various transitional years when I was becoming more observant. And then I had the most amazing story that I'm going to tell you. And I have a book of miracle stories about the afterlife, because so many miracle stories have happened to me and to many friends. And so I collect them, and we've published the book. And
what's the name of the book? I want to see that book.
Okay, so the book is called From This World to the Next. From This World to the Next. And it's amazing true stories about Jewish burial in the afterlife. And they're all true stories that were collected from myself and from other people about a burial and the afterlife and connections, because you can maintain a spiritual connection to your departed loved one after they've gone. So dreams, all kinds of cool, spooky things, So the way the miracle story that happened in my life is, I'm one of 18 first cousins, even though it's a large family. My father's one of 5, my mother's one of 3, and I stay in touch. It's just myself and my brother who are, more connected to our Judaism. And I stay in touch with all my cousins. I love them all. And I happened to be calling my Auntie Myra one day, and just to call her to say, hi, how are you doing? And she said, are you calling because you heard the news? And I said, what news? And her husband, my uncle, had passed away that day, and I had no idea. It was Shushan Purim. It was the day after Purim. I was happy. I just wanted to call my auntie because I love her. My Auntie Myra, she's one of my favorite aunts. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I had no idea that her husband had passed. He was 80 years old.
Wait, how often how often did you generally call her?
Well, every 3 months or so, it's not like every day, every week kind of thing. I mean, yeah, maybe.
You call her 4 times a year, and you happen to call, but in hashgacha pratis, you happen to call her on the day her husband dies.
Yeah. So I was in shock. She was in shock. And I said, so when's the funeral going to be? And she said, well, we're not going to do that. We're not religious like you guys. Everybody in Las Vegas does cremations. And I'm like, oh my God, no, but I was in shock. I didn't know what, at the time, I didn't know what to say, because it's like my family. I was like total shock. I wasn't doing the educational outreach that I am doing now, but she was kind of the impetus for it. So I called my cousins, who are a little bit older than me, about this, and her children, my first cousins. And I said, you got to bury my uncle. You got to bury your dad. It's the gentle, loving thing to do. Everybody's crying. Nobody knows what to do. So I called the mortuary in Las Vegas. I said, here's my credit card, please. I have no power though, I'm a niece. I'm not a daughter. So meanwhile, I'm praying and begging, and my cousins don't know what to do. So the first miracle is that my uncle is in the crematorium for 2 weeks, and they didn't do it. Like I said, it's not so fast. So that was good. The second miracle was they didn't touch him. In Judaism, we don't believe in cutting, taking, doing autopsies, and we don't believe in that. And so thank God, the second miracle was he was not touched. They didn't take out his artificial knees or his pacemaker. So then I decided, things are not moving. It's 2 weeks here. So I decided to give some tzedakah, because it's customary to study Mishnayos for the departed loved one, right? So I didn't tell my cousins I was doing this, and I gave tzedakah to an organization in Lakewood, New Jersey, called Hever Lumbei Mishnah. And I told them the situation. So and that was on a Tuesday. And they started learning Mishnayos for my uncle that Tuesday. And then I called my cousin again, and I said, and I didn't tell them that I had given the tzedakah. They didn't know what Mishnayos is, whatever. I didn't tell them. So I called my cousin again, and I said, did you make up your mind yet? Can we do the burial, please? And they said, well, we're all going to meet in a restaurant. We're going to meet tomorrow in a restaurant. We're going to decide what we're going to do. I'm like, oh my gosh, another day. So my 3 cousins, the 3 siblings, they get together in a restaurant. I call the next day again. And my cousin says, yes, I'm going to do the burial. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? She tells me, my father came to me in a dream. So this is the 3rd miracle. My father came to me in a dream and said, get me out of here. I'm like, what? When was that? And she says it was Tuesday. I'm like, which Tuesday? She goes, it was Tuesday night, this past Tuesday. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I told her about the tzedakah and the mishnayos. So she's crying, I'm crying, but it gets better. I fly into Las Vegas. She's decided to do the burial. I am at the cemetery with my Aunt Myra and my cousins. And my aunt comes over to me and she hugs me at the cemetery. And she goes, Robin, this is your calling. God is going to repay you. And I'm like, whoa, like I have goosebumps now. My aunt, like I said, didn't grow up going to seminary, Jewish day school, yeshiva, anything, but she's very connected to God, very spiritual, very beautiful woman. And I'm like, what? That's such a weird thing to say at a cemetery. So anyway, fast forward a few months later, I was like 44 at the time. I wasn't feeling so good. And I'm like, we're about to get in the car to go on a 14-hour car ride to Denver to get out of the heat of Arizona. And I thought, I gotta take a test, a pregnancy test. I'm not feeling so good. My stomach, I just don't feel so good to get in this car for 14 hours. And the stick was pink. Okay.
and your youngest child was
my youngest child was 6 at the time. Okay, like no more baby clothes in the house, no more crib. Like we thought we were done, and we thought, okay, next phase of life. And so my husband starts jumping up and down, like he's like thrilled, and I'm like, what? Are you crazy? I'm gonna have a baby at like 45. So I was very scared, but I was in the car and I was calculating, as Jewish moms, we calculate like, when is this baby going to be due? And I'm like, it whooshes through my mind in the car what my Auntie Myra said, this is your calling. God is going to repay you, because I counted on my hands and the numbers, and I realized I was going to be due near my Uncle Arnold's first yard site.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh. So anyway, fast forward, go to the doctor, everything's fine. But I went to a Rabbi to get a bracha, because I'm like, so scared. He laughed at me and my husband, because he said, Sarah Imenu was 90. You're going to be 45. You're half her age. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. So fast forward, I find out in the ultrasound room that it's a boy. And I call my cousins from the ultrasound room and I tell them, and they're so excited. And I said, I'm going to name him after your father. Wow. And then they were just thrilled. We got very close in that first year of their loss. And then this baby was out coming, and the doctor said, if you don't get this baby out, we're going to have to induce you. Now, remember, my uncle was in the crematorium for 2 weeks. I was 2 weeks late. And my baby came on Shushan Purim.
Wow.
The exact yard site of my Uncle Arnold.
I've got goosebumps also.
So it's such an open miracle. You have to see Hashem's hand. Like, it's like, yes, this is my Hesed mission. This is my purpose for, in my Hesed area. And
so after that, then you took it upon yourself.
Right. Yeah. After that, I said, you know what, I'm going to use my skills that God gave me, my writing skills, marketing skills. I'm going to make a website. I'm going to make a book. I'm just going to tell the whole world, that you must use burial. It's gentle and loving, and just the whole miracle story, like all the crazy, wild miracles. So, yeah. And I've been doing this my son is 9. Wow. He's 9. So I'm on call. And I take care of people on a regular basis, thank God. But I can't just focus on the dead. And this is the conversation I have with people. You have to know who you are as a Jewish mom, right? Mm-hmm. I have to take care of my family, and I have to take care of the living, because that's how I thrive. I can't just, and I fight with God sometimes. Like, I can't just do the burial all day long, because I can't. We have to be balanced. Like Rabbi Nivin says, you have to have life balance. Yeah. So, so that's why I do the other things that I do as well.
Right. So I want to ask you, I know that you're like a long time rabbi, you're also a Rabbi Nivin coach, and you're like and you like work with him closely, planning the curricula. And I know that you're a very, very busy mom. I want to know, like, how do you, it seems like you like thrive in your life, finding this balance between like the Jewish burial and the Project Inspire and your family. Like, like, can you just give us some tips for how it's possible to balance everything that you do?
Well, first of all, I have a very supportive Jewish husband. So, you got to have, first of all, you got to have a Jewish husband and Jewish support. So, but second of all, I'm very clear, and you can learn this through Rabbi Nivin. I'm very clear on what my life purpose is. I'm very clear on my time management. So I make a set of goals for the year in Elul. I make my goals for the year. And then I also, I plan it out by month, and I plan it out by week and day and moment. And I live moment by moment, and I do listen to the Hashgacha Pratis, and I do, obviously we all are sent curveballs throughout the day and throughout our life, but I have the tools and the mindsets to thrive in my life and to be happy, to have joy and vitality, because I have a path. I'm very clear on what my goals are and my time and my mindsets, So I think those are the three main important things. You got to know your goals, you got to manage your time well, and you got to be clear on your mindsets. And, we live in this crazy world, right? It's changing all the time. It's going to change more. It's a new normal, and we're not used to it. It's the changing world, and there's a lot of adversity. There's going to be more and more. And we sort of we sit back, we want tranquility, we want everything to be easy, but the world is shifting. And so we have to constantly grow. We have to constantly be learning new methodologies. And if we're weak in a certain area, you want to take a class, you want to learn up something. If you're weak in time management, then take a class on it. If you don't know who you are, figure out your purpose, take a class on it. And if you have thoughts in your head that are holding you back, you want to learn new ways so that you can be happy. I wake up happy. And I also have the same laundry that people have to do. I have to make dinner. I have to bring a meal to a lady tonight. I have the same, maybe smaller or larger challenges in different areas, but the key is knowing your purpose, doing time management, and having the right mindsets so that you can.
Can you give me like a personal example, like from your life? Like using these different, having a sense of what are you working on now? What are you struggling with? What is helping you?
Sure. So, okay. So, Rabbi Nivin talks about how right after Yontiv that, Heshvan doesn't have any holidays, and people might either have a very big sense of relief after, or might be slightly depressed after. Now, for me, for the last 8 years, I've been running the Shabbos project and the Halabake, which is in Heshvan. So I go from the high of the holidays into the high of helping the Jewish people understand what Shabbos is. So I love that. And also my birthday's in Heshvan. So I'm not depressed in Heshvan. But the way I do it is I'm clear in what I want to accomplish. And some of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm juggling 18 ladies that I'm going to be bringing to Israel in November, God willing. And I'm juggling.
I want to meet you.
Yeah, that would be so great.
We've never met in person. So
person. Yeah. So, I'm juggling the kiruv that I do. But the way it all intertwines is that the things that I learn in my personal development classes and with Rabbi Nivin is that I don't teach that, but it infuses me with the mindsets and the knowledge to help me in the kiruv that I do, and it helped me as a mom. So I just, as a typical day, the night before, I'll make a list of what am I going to do the next day. I'm sure many people do that. Many Jewish moms make a list of the things they have to do. I have to today. I have, I plan actually by minute. I do wake up very early because I want to wake up before my kids get up, right? Because once the kids are up, you can't get anything done, right?
Right.
So depending on the age of your children, I mean, thank God, most of my kids, my youngest is 9. So I still do need to get his breakfast and help him get ready for school. But I try to wake up, I try to daven. It's important to me to daven every day in the morning before my day starts because it centers me. So I daven and I look over my goals and I visualize my goals about them coming to be. And that centers me. When there are some days where either I wake up later or my son wakes up early and then I miss that, but I stick it in as soon as he's off to carpool. But I like to keep the same Seder because then I'm centered, I'm calmer, it's more tranquil. It's good on the body.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my day. I start off with my davening, get my son out the door, and then I start with all the goals that I have visualized from my plan, which is helping the Jewish people. And I'm ambitious. I want to help as many Jews as I possibly can grow in their Judaism and grow in their connection to God and be happy. So that's kind of how I do it. But I mean, I'm always learning too. I'm always trying to learn new strategies, and that's why I'm constantly learning and taking different classes and such.
Right.
It's important, I think, for Jewish moms to learn from each other.
Right. And so if moms want to you work with Rabbi Nivin, if moms kind of want to learn from Rabbi Nivin and learn how to do this themselves, then is there there's a class coming up, there's a new class starting, right?
Yeah, there's classes all the time. I mean, depending on people's schedules, Rabbi Nivin does private personal coaching, and then he also does classes, and the classes are once a week, so it's very manageable, and they're live or they're recorded, and you can listen on the computer, you can listen on your phone, you can speed it up. I have a lot of the ladies that I talk to, they're like, I don't have an hour a week. I'm like, okay, so you can speed up the class and listen at 1.5 speed. That's it. Seriously, yeah. People are very busy.
I'm a 1.25 lady myself.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
So for people who are fast listeners, fast learners, you can do that. Thank God with the technology. A lot of people ask me, well, are the classes on Zoom? And I'm like, no, not at this point, because we really feel like you can hear the neshama through the phone. And a lot of times the visual is distracting. Yeah. So, which is fine. So when you listen very deeply, you can hear the neshama and you hear what needs to be worked on, and it really gets more inside of you. So, but for those visual learners, we also have written notes, which are amazing because it's like a full transcript. It's everything said, even the questions, Yeah. And then we have liaisons. I started liaisoning with everybody. I was like calling all the ladies and helping all of them, but it just got to be too much for me. So
right, yeah,
it's a lot of ladies. Mm-hmm. So we have a team of beautiful, dedicated ladies who call all the participants and help them with the homework and the material. And, I don't know of any other Jewish program that really does that. It's, we want accountability. I have like a health coach right now, right? Because I need to lose I need to get back fit. So I have a liaison, an accountability coach. She texts me through this fitness app. Did you weigh yourself today? How'd you eat? So we all I have to track everything I eat. So we all need like accountability coaches. And so that's what Rabbi provides us with, these liaisons to help, you stay in touch with what your goals are, what you're trying to do. And so how you can change and grow. And we're very scientific too. Like we'll measure, you'll say, okay, how's your happiness, or how are you thriving at the beginning of the course? And then by the end of the course, we want to see how you move up. Like, let's say you're on a scale of 1 to 5, you're a 3. We want you to be up to like a 4 or so by the end of the course. Because there's no point in taking a class if you're just going to like sort of listen and not do anything with it, right?
Right. And the goals, you always say it has to be, like Rabbi Nivin always says, it has to be you're going up in terms of your goal. And so the goals remind me are transcendence. Okay, great.
Yeah. It's it's powerful joy, transcendence, and inspired amuna, and vitality. So like, when you wake up, you want to, we all have down days and such, but we want to wake up with joy and vitality, and we want to transcend the different things that are happening in our lives, difficulties. We know that Hashem sends us these curveballs. We know that Hashem is changing the world on us right now. And so how do we go through this life? How do we go through this journey with a smile on our face and being the best mom that we can? Because ultimately, what do we want? We want our kids to emulate us, right? We want our kids to see a happy mom, a happy wife, so that when they go off and get married and they have their own kids, that they are living their best lives. And I know this now because my oldest is married and I have 3 grandsons, right? So the greatest joy for me is to see her being a good mom. And oh my gosh, like, I lost it a few times, when in the beginning of my, in the beginning of being a mom, because you're exhausted and physically and emotionally drained. And you want to show and have the tools so that your next generation after you are being good moms and good wives, right? So we want to try our best to do that. And that's how you just have to keep learning and growing. So you can do that for your children and for your family and for your spouse, right? All the things that you learn in these classes is ultimately you want to have a better marriage, right? So you want to keep growing and growing in your marriage. So the Shekhinah, so there's peace in the home. And these are hard. All these things are hard, and it's an ongoing process. And I just feel very blessed to be able to continuously learn and grow and interact with amazing women like you.
I just want to go over this, something really amazing. I've been participating for 11 years. Actually, I want to say I joined Rabbi Nivin's Chabura, and when I was pregnant with my daughter Sophia, and she's having her bat mitzvah next summer. So it's sweet. So it's almost my bat mitzvah year with Rabbi.
Wow.
But something wonderful is that over the years, then I'm listening to Rabbi Nivin and hearing like the comments from different women about their lives. Robin's actually in my Chabura as well, and I hear Robin and I hear like various people. And it is a wonderful thing. Since it's on the phone, we don't see them, or on the internet, it's only audio. So we don't see them. And there's something so wonderful about them, because as you were saying, because we get so distracted. This one wears a sheitel, and this one wears a sheitel and a hat from Muncie. And this one doesn't cover her hair. This one wears a baseball cap. She must be modern Orthodox. Like we can we're so judgmental based on, and in this thing, like I've known these women for like a decade, in Robin's case, I guess for 8 years, and I feel this, and we connect as souls because we don't see each other. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, I was actually at a hotel a few years ago. I live in Arizona, despite the background behind me, and Arizona is famous for a lot of Passover hotel programs, and every once in a while they let the locals in to partake of the sometimes they have incredible entertainment. So the one year I was invited by one of the hotels. They said that the local people could come in and pay a nominal fee, because otherwise it's very, very expensive. So we paid a nominal fee to go to one of these Pesach entertainment programs. And you won't believe what happened. I sat down at a table, and there was a couple at the other end of the table, and they started talking. We could hear each other. And I'm like, I know that voice. Well, how do I know this voice? And then I said to her, do you do Rabbi Nivin's programs? And she goes, yes. And it's like we met for the first time, and I'm like, I knew her voice because we were in the Chabura together, and we instant friends.
I'm sure. Yeah. I have the same experience with the late Rabbi Henny Machlis. So wow. I went to her once. She passed away, maybe it was 6 years ago, and so I knew her from the Chaburas. And I showed up once I wanted to see the experience of one of her famous open house Shabbos meals. And I went with a few of my kids. My husband was away, so I said, I'll take a few kids and see what it is. And I remember telling her that we're actually in the same Chabura. And we just instantly connected so deeply just from that. It was like we were like childhood friends.
Yeah,
It's a
soul
very
family.
deep soul connection. Yeah, soul family.
Yeah, Rabbi Nivin talks about having a soul family, and I tell my kids too, because you know how they like cliques at school, or you know maybe they little squabbles or whatever happens at school, with kids. And I say to my kids, you just need a few people that are your soul family, and they might not even be in your class. So maybe they're in the next class up, or maybe they're a girl that you met from camp, and you can be pen pals, or talk on the phone or whatever. But you'll know when you find your soul family. And we need that soul family relationship and friendships, because that's how we thrive. You want to have those soul family people around you to help you.
Totally. Yeah. So if people are interested in learning more about the Chaburas and Rabbi Nivin, how should they go about doing that?
Sure. So they could go to his website, which is newchabura.com. It's NEWCHABURA.com, or they could call me or text me, or WhatsApp me, depending on the technology. And my number is 602-469-1606. Or they can email the admin staff at newchabura@gmail.com. And that's NEWCHABURA@gmail.com.
Yeah, I'm also going to put these links in the video description.
Okay.
So again, my mom's yard site is coming up this Sunday, and the 18th of Cheshvan. So may all of the inspiration from this talk go to the elevation of the soul of my beloved mom, Gila Bat Yaakov, Gladys Eric Friedman, so thank you so much, Robin. This has been such a treat.
Thank you. Thank
it's
you so much.
Especially wonderful after kind of like you're one of my Chabura people, and then actually, so I got to talk with you at the beginning of Corona. You did some life coaching and helping me out, and now actually seeing you, and I hope I can meet you in November. That'd be fantastic.
That would be amazing. And continue your beautiful light that you're doing for all the Jewish moms, because we need you. We need inspiration as a Jewish mom. All of us do. So thank you for your beautiful work.
And I just want to say, for me, as someone who lives in Jerusalem, seeing you in Phoenix doing this, I just feel wow, that you, it's remarkable how you're doing so much for the Jewish people, and reaching out. You're kind of this core of light, this kind of sending out all these rays of light from a place you wouldn't think is necessarily, definitely not a center for Torah Judaism. So it's really an inspiration for me. It just shows me okay, if she can do it from Phoenix, I can do it from here.
I always wanted to make Aliyah. I filled out most of the paperwork already to fill it out, but our family's not ready. And I asked a Rav, and he said, you can do what you're doing from where you're at. You can get close to God. And obviously we all belong in Israel. We all belong there. And my goal is to be there as quickly as I can and to go as many times as I can. But I make my home as a Jewish mom, my Beis HaMikdash. I make my home my Beis HaMikdash. And I feel like Arizona is second to Israel. It's absolutely beautiful. And I feel that I can pray from here. And there's 100,000 Jews in Arizona that I need to reach out to and help. And with the technology we have, with the telephones and the Zoom and the internet, you really can be, I can be here and affect the Jewish people. And it's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling to be able to do that. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to God. I'm grateful for technology. I'm grateful to Google.
Right. Yeah. And to Zoom.
And to Zoom.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.